The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is the Players Lounge, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now your hosts, Barry Church, Danny McCray, and Newey Scruggs.
All right, here we are, Players Lounge on a Monday, the final preseason week for the Dallas Cowboys. You get this preseason game done, and then it is on to the regular season. Players Lounge brought to you by Hotels.com. I'm Newey Scruggs, long-time Cowboys reporter, joined by Barry Church, former Dallas Cowboys safety, number 42. And Barry, I don't know where McCray is, but McCray, is he on assignment again? Is he funning? What's your boy got going on? What's your old safety running mate got going on?
I mean, I tell you what, man. I tell you what, he's not on assignment. I'll tell you that right now. He's out there jet setting somewhere. You know, they like to make fun of me for doing a little bit of traveling, but my man McCray, that's international McCray right now. So who knows where he's at? He's on the beach somewhere soaking in some rays. I'm kind of jealous, but I'll tell you this, Newey. We are 1 week closer to real live action football, and I can't wait. So I'm in a great space. I don't know about you, but I'm in a great space right now. I know McCray is, because he's enjoying the Rays somewhere. So let's get it popping, big dog.
Okay, let's go right out the gate here, because I'm going after you. Okay, I'm going after you. Because you've been all about Garrett Gilbert, the guy you like to call Double G. Double G's last stand is this weekend, and I'm telling you right now, give me Cooper Rush. Give me Cooper Rush to finish as the backup quarterback, because I believe they're only going to keep two. You're going to cut Ben DiNucci, all right? After that pick 3, I mean, I've been saying all along, I hadn't been sold on DiNucci for a minute as far as making this football team. I think they keep 2 quarterbacks. Obviously, it's Dak Prescott and one other guy who knows the offense. And right now, you got to give me Cooper Rush, okay? The statistics right here are on Cooper's side. You look at this now, 10 possessions, 66% completion percentage, all right? A quarterback rating of 102.5, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. He was 10 of 12 for 97 yards with 2 TDs against Houston. Meanwhile, your boy, Double G, has got 3 starts and 7 possessions. He's got a quarterback rating of 74.9%, 56% passing completions overall, no touchdowns, no INTs. He was 3 of 5 for 30 yards against the Texans with a fumble. Come on, man. You know Cooper Rush is looking better. Just admit it. Your boy Double G got problems right now. I don't think he's gonna make it.
Here we go again with the Double G slander. I mean, this is beyond me right now. First, let me get a point on DiNucci right now. DiNucci's out the gate. All right, DiNucci, that might have been the worst display of quarterbacking, I might have ever seen in my career as a player, and now in this media thing. That was just downright horrendous. I'm not even sure his Pittsburgh connection with McCarthy can save him for the practice squad. So that's DiNucci right there. But when we get to Double G in this Cooper Rush quote-unquote battle, everybody seems to forget Cooper Rush he's a preseason darling. He did the same thing in 2017. He played great in the preseason when he's going against, 2s or a sprinkle of 1s here and there, but not the whole starting lineup. And we're basing this off of this Houston game where Houston got all types of shambles going around. New coaching staff, they done brought in about 30 new players overall. So I'm not taking Houston's defense, what Cooper Rush was able to dissect out there. I'm not saying he's going to be able to do that during the regular season. Now, we do have a guy in Garrett Gilbert who's proven that when he goes out there in regular season games, he can make things a competition. I mean, we've seen him go out there and dissect the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. But when has Cooper Rush ever done that? When has Cooper Rush ever done that? I'm talking about when coaches are making adjustments to what you're doing throughout the game. We've yet to see, this is vanilla defense that Cooper Rush is going against. When teams see, okay, he loves to hit CeeDee Lamb on 3rd down, let me go ahead and get these defensive adjustments to make Cooper Rush go through his progressions. We've yet to see that. He's a preseason darling. And so we're going to sit here and say Cooper Rush is a bona fide backup because he was able to go in one preseason game against a Houston Texans defense that's in shambles. And we're going to say he's ready to be that backup. Are you 100% confident? You're 100% confident that Cooper Rush, if Dak went down, Cooper Rush can go out there and right the ship. There's no way.
Give me Cooper Rush. All I know is I was out there at training camp. We saw Dak go down, and you're giving Garrett Gilbert all the opportunities to run with the ones. Here's a dress rehearsal on Saturday against a Houston team that none of us expect to be good. He did not look good. Here comes Cooper Rush in here, and he's moving the football. Cooper Rush was dealing with some injuries a little bit in camp here, but just overall, I'm seeing here and I'm saying, okay, that's the guy who made the team a couple years ago, who had some nice preseasons, and maybe he's coming around here healthy. They were talking about it on Talking Cowboys, a previous podcast, right here on DallasCowboys.com. I'm just telling you right now, give me Cooper Rush. Look, you know how I feel, ultimately. The backup quarterback the Cowboys need is not on this roster, okay? Neither of these three guys are the answer for me. But I do believe when cut-down day comes, you're only going to keep two. You'll keep Dak Prescott, and then you'll keep a quarterback who knows the system. Because if you bring someone in, unless it's going to be Brett Hundley or somebody that Mike McCarthy's worked with in the past, is going to be a quarterback who doesn't fully understand the offense. So having somebody that understands the offense is going to be key. So this backup quarterback that they keep, be it Rush or Gilbert, is going to be somebody that's going to be around here for a minute, in my opinion. But I'm just telling you, I think your boy Double G is done. Okay? So I want to see what Cooper Rush. I want to see Cooper Rush with the first team. They ain't gonna have a first team either because McCarthy already said he ain't playing the starters against Jacksonville. Ain't gonna be no starters. So if that's it, you go ahead and give me Cooper Rush. If this is all we're gonna get, okay, then give me Cooper Rush right now. How about that?
So you're saying
already served as a backup before.
So you're telling me, so next week don't even matter. This Sunday matchup against Jacksonville doesn't even matter. It's already Cooper Rush. Is that what you're saying, Newey?
He'll throw him out there. And he's gonna, they're both gonna have to deal with some backup players. But I'm telling you right now, I saw enough from Cooper Rush that tells me yes, I'll go with Cooper Rush here at this point. And Barry, he's already served in this role before. Granted, he didn't play, but he at least knows his role and he knows how to do this.
He's never played in the regular season. Like, I need to see what he can do when these coaches are putting adjustments on him and he has to go through these progressions. He's running for his life out there. I'm not saying Cooper Rush is a downright he's nowhere near as bad as DiNucci. I'm just saying on talent alone, I think Gilbert has more upside that when we get into the live bullets, when coaches are making adjustments, when he has to scramble around, go through his progressions, buy time in the pocket, I'm not thinking that Cooper Rush can do that. I mean, I think he's a preseason darling, and that's where he makes his bones at. People are like, "Oh man, did you see how efficient he was? He was going against the Houston Texans."
First off, he was never a preseason darling. He was just a guy. I mean, was ever a jag walking around with Cooper Rush being just a guy? I mean, you want to see the darling? You watch Hard Knocks. You think Ben DiNucci was really good. Okay, that's how Hard Knocks is spun that thing on him. You thinking this guy's like a decent quarterback, and he's terrible. So Cooper's no darling at all. But I'm just saying right now, I believe in it, and I just think it's going to be all good. By the way, shout out to the alma mater. Got my Pembroke baseball hat on here. We were inspired by the Pirates of Pittsburgh as we got our hat here. Coach Paul O'Neill, appreciate that. My man Dick Chrissy, the AD over there. We get ready for our first football game. We're facing the Winston-Salem State Rams at Stephen A. Smith's alma mater in football, September 4th. We're going to lay it on them one more time here. So wearing that Pembroke pride today, baby.
I thought Winston-Salem was pretty good at football, or that was in the past.
Hey man, they've come down. They've taken us on before. We've given them that work before, so we've already beaten them before. So it's been a good rivalry through the years. So, two North Carolina schools. Getting after it here in the D2 level, so I'm all about that. All right. So you and I are differing here on the backup quarterback situation, but can we both agree the backup quarterback the Cowboys need is not on this roster?
Yeah, the need, something that, because if that goes down, like I love my boy Gilbert, but I just haven't seen enough after that Steelers game to be like, he's going to take us the way. I mean, he might win us a couple games, but we'll be in the same situation we were in last year if Dak were to ever go down. Let me ask you a question, though, Newey. I was watching that Chargers game last night, and the young boy, Easton Stick, I think his name is, the one that's backing up Herbert right now. If they release Chase Daniel, who is like battling for that backup spot with Stick, do you see him as an option here for the Dallas Cowboys? because they like Stick out there, and he looked like he was playing pretty well in that Chargers offense. So if they don't keep Chase Daniel, I mean, he's a career backup. That's what he does.
Right,
do you think that's an option for the boys?
South Lake Carroll's own Chase Daniel, by the way.
This is true. We might get a discount like Andy Dalton, coming back home to Texas. What do you thoughts on that one?
Parcells used to have a great line when he called guys Jags, just a guy. So you ask about a guy like Chase Daniels, a Parcells man, he's just a Jag. Well, Bill, what does that mean? He's just a guy. I can find three more guys like that. So if you bring in Chase Daniel, is he this much better than the guys you have here? And he doesn't know the system.
That's true.
He's been here with Kelmore. So that's the question. So I'm thinking if I'm going to bring in a quarterback, I'd like to think you're bringing in someone who's, okay, I'll give you a guy. Let's go to Pittsburgh, that Josh Dobbs. We saw a little bit of Josh Dobbs at the Hall of Fame game. There's a guy that to me is intriguing because I'm thinking of who's a backup quarterback that you can put in the system and have them grow over a couple of years. Some of our older Cowboy fans can remember back in the day when Matt Moore was trying to make this club, and he had some nice preseason games, and they tried to cut him and slide him through, and he got gobbled up. And Matt Moore went on to have a really nice NFL career. And I'm almost positive he was on that Kansas City team that won the Super Bowl with Mahomes.
Yeah.
I know he was on what. And so
I want to say he was the backup, yeah.
Yeah, he was a backup. I know he was on one of those Kansas City teams that went to the Super Bowl. I think he was on the team that won it. But just that's what your hope is. If you can bring in a backup and groom the guy. And Josh Dobbs is a kid who I thought through the years has had that kind of ability. They just got a lot of quarterbacks there. Obviously, you've got a starter in Ben Roethlisberger who's going to be the guy. You got Mason Rudolph back there. They picked up Dwayne Haskins, a former first-round pick in Washington. So that leaves a guy like Josh Dobbs. I mean, they're not going to keep four quarterbacks. Okay, Pittsburgh's not going to do it. They may try to slide one of the guys on the 16-man practice squad. But if I'm the Cowboys and I see a guy like Dobbs out there, to me, that's where I would like to go if I'm a general manager who's a young guy with some athletic ability, whose game mirrors Dak Prescott, that I could eventually work with and get him up to where I want him to be. They tried to do that in Green Bay with a Brett Huntley, didn't really work out. And when Brett got his chance out there, he just couldn't handle it. And Mike McCarthy brought him in, and so they didn't sign him. But that's when I'm thinking of a guy that's going to be released, and I say, okay, where's a possible upgrade? That's the kind of player that I'm thinking of. That's just one quarterback. And look, other people may have guys they like, but I'm just thinking of that's just one player and one team. And I watched, I was like, man, they got four dudes. Oh, those four guys ain't gonna make it. Is there a guy out here that I could bring in? I'll tell you this, I'd damn sure rather have Josh Dobbs on my practice squad than Ben DiNucci.
No, without a doubt. Without a doubt, man. I believe DiNucci alone. I ain't going to keep piling on him. But, I love the fact I don't even know if Dobbs still has any practice squad eligibility. But if he could, I would definitely stash him. Oh, that is true. I would stash him on the practice squad. It's
a 10+6 squad, apparently. 10+6. So, yeah, so you can get him on there.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that because, like you said, I mean, whoever wins this Double G or Cooper Rush, whoever wins this quote-unquote quarterback battle for the backup spot, I think I tend to agree with you on this one. I just don't think they got what it takes to, if anything catastrophic were to happen and they had to step in and they were our quarterback for the rest of the season, I just feel like we would be in the same spot. And it's just interesting that we didn't address this position in the offseason when we had plenty of time to snag up a Dwayne Haskins or get somebody else like that can be a legit backup. Because now, man, we're heading into the season and we're in a predicament, man. Because let's just say something, God forbid, but something crazy happens to that throwing shoulder of Dak Prescott, and we got to throw a couple of these dudes in. We're in trouble. We're in trouble, man. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I don't think this quarterback is on our roster as we speak right now.
Okay. But Mike McCarthy, the head coach, has said it's not over. So a position battle that many of us thought that was going to go Garrett Gilbert's way is now open. Cooper Rush has entered into that after the 20-14 loss the Cowboys suffered to the Jacksonville Jaguars. From Newy Scruggs, it's Barry Church, Players Lounge This is DallasCowboys.com radio. Now, let me go to another topic here that we talked about a little bit here, and we got to see a little bit more because this was the dress rehearsal game. All right, the final preseason game against Jacksonville, Mike McCarthy, the head coach, has come out and told you, look, it's going to be a game for the younger guys trying to make the team, guys on the bubble. They're not going to run out the Dak Prescotts and Ezekiel Elliott's and Tank Lawrence's. These starters are not playing in this game. So what we saw, the Cowboys come out against Houston and their linebackers nickel package, okay? So just two linebackers out there. That was Micah Parsons, the rookie they drafted 12th overall out of Penn State, and Keanu O'Neal, the converted safety who's now a linebacker who played for Dan Quinn on that Super Bowl team. Those are the two guys that were out there. Not Jalen Smith, not Leighton Vander Esch. They're getting ready to face an incredible Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense to start the season. A nickel package to start would be very smart because they got a lot of weapons on that football team that Tom Brady's got access to. And so your thoughts on Parsons and Keanu O'Neal out there as a nickel to start the game?
Look, I'm not going to lie to you, Newey. I love it. I love the situation we got at linebacker. I think we got great depth. And I think these coaches got the right two guys out there in this nickel package. Now, is Keanu O'Neal going to be your every down linebacker against the run? I'm not so sure. Right now, he's progressing in the right way. Pro Football Focus has him rated as one of the top linebackers in the National Football League through the preseason. He's been able to play the run a hell of a lot better than I thought he would, transitioning from safety to linebacker. Okay. But overall, I think this is a great thing for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you got two linebackers who can play in space very well, and that is what this league is going to. So basically, your nickel linebackers, they're going to be your starters because, I mean, at least 70% of offenses in the National Football League, that's their main offense, 11 personnel, one tight end, one back, three receivers. They love to spread people out. And what happened last year to us, especially our linebacking core, is we got exposed. We got exposed against the interior as far as pass concepts and routes coming out of the backfield. We got exposed because our linebackers were not solid in coverage, and teams were picking us apart with that. And Tom Brady is one of the masterminds of dinking and dunking, looking at matchups and exposing those matchups. So when you got a Parsons and Keanu O'Neal, I think the only thing that might worry you as a defense is how are they going to hold up against the run. We've seen Parsons. He's able to do it without a doubt. He's throwing linemen all over the place. He's up. He's popping off your screen. This guy is a bona fide star at linebacker. Can Keanu O'Neal do that same thing? I'm not so sure, but we'll find out. But coverage-wise, I think we are set with those two at the nickel linebacker position. One thing that's kind of bothering me, though, about that is the rotation. Because if you looked at it, those were our two linebackers in nickel. And then when base came in, which is 12 or 21 personnel, which is a heavy run personnel for offenses, here comes in Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. And as the game progresses, one, it's going to be extremely hard to disguise that, they're coming in, they must think we're going to run the ball. That's going to be hard to disguise that rotation. And two, how are your linebackers going to get acclimated to the game? How are they going to get in a rhythm? How are they going to see how this offense is play calling? They like to do this on third down, like to do this on first and second down. It's going to be hard for that because it's not the defensive line. Defensive line, you got to have a rotation. Those are big guys banging every single play. But as linebackers, you kind of got to get used to the play. You got to get your rhythm going, just like in the secondary. And it's going to be extremely hard if that's the rotation. I doubt it will be. They have to have two set linebackers. I doubt they'll be coming in and out for base and nickel. But if they do go that route with that rotation, it's going to be extremely hard for these linebackers to get a rhythm and be effective in every down situation during the regular season.
So this sounds like a trust factor with the defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, that, at this point in time, I hear what you're saying, and I'm just going to come out and say this is where you got to trust him. You got to trust that Dan Quinn knows what he's doing, that he's got a plan and a strategy, and that he'll be able to implement it. But this, facing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, those five targets plus the ability of Giovanni Bernard to come out of the backfield. And I want to make sure fans start to think about this, okay? He was in Cincinnati for a number of years. And Giovanni Bernard is, if you go back and think about what Tom Brady enjoyed when he was in New England before he went to Tampa Bay, a guy like James White. He's that kind of player. the Falk kid, Kevin Falk, coming out of the backfield, who was on a championship team. That's what they're going to do with a Giovanni Bernard, and I think that he's going to have a big impact for Tampa Bay. In that first game, I'm telling you right now, if I'm Bruce Arians and I'm Tom Brady, I'm trying to figure out, hey, let me get some of these linebackers in space and let me see what I can do. Hey, Keanu O'Neal, what can you do up against a Giovanni Bernard? Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, what can you do with this guy coming out of the backfield with those weapons? I'm telling you, man, this is going to be a very interesting chess match, this first game coming around. And right now, I just got to say, okay, let me just trust Dan Quinn and let's see if he's going to be able to have a plan out there, because I just think it's going to be a fun matchup to see what Brady does against these linebackers.
Oh, it's going to be an amazing chess match. And if you look at it, what does Brady do well? Once he sees a defense that he likes, that he can attack, he will keep that hurry up. He will keep that gas on the pedal to where you can't sub out linebackers in and out. So let's just say they catch Jalen Smith and LVE in a base. They had the receiving options, right, with a Gradkowski, with an OJ Howard, with a Giovanni Bernard, with a Fournette coming out, Ronald Jones coming out of the backfield, to where they can hurry that up and still be effective in the pass game. And they can make our linebackers, Jalen Smith and LVE, if they are the linebackers coming in that base, they can expose those guys. And Tom Brady is a master. Trust me, he is a master of catching defenses and not letting you sub guys in and out. He will keep the gas on the pedal, and it's going to be hard if that's the case. But they have to find two linebackers that they feel can play nickel and base, because I'm telling you, it's going to be extremely hard to get in a rhythm, and it's going to be extremely hard to disguise. I mean, you're going against Tom Brady, who's seen pretty much every defense there is. When you got those guys out there, he's going to be like, oh, okay, this is what it is. All right, let me go ahead and pick this apart. And he's going to keep that foot on the gas pedal, and it's going to be hard for this defense. Not only to mention, our interior rush right now, Newbie, I don't know. With the absence of Neville Gallimore, we got to have guys like Brent Urban, Bohanna, Osa. Those guys need to step up, because what bothers Brady the most is that interior pressure. When he gets that interior pressure, he kind of gets off route. And right now, only pressure I see is coming off the edges with D-Law and Randy Gregory. And Tom Brady, he's going to be able to step up and tear us apart. So for me, we got to find a solid two linebackers, and we got to get some guys to step up in the interior part of the defensive line if we're going to have a chance against Brady and these Bucs.
Next time we get an opportunity to talk to Dan Quinn, at least game week, I'm going to ask him, how personal is this? How personal is this? Because, number 12 is the reason why you don't have your own Super Bowl ring. So I'll dive into that a little later on. Let's hit a break here. Barry's got a movie review for us, and I saw a player get a little bit of action, and it made me feel good. I was very happy to see this player. Let's dive into this and more on the Players Lounge. Newey Scruggs, Barry Church, right here on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit AT&T.com for details.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Hey Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
It's game day. You know what that means. First, kebab prep. Steak, pepper, onion, steak, pepper, onion. Next, a counterclockwise lap around the room. Now the lucky grease-stained jersey goes on. And lastly, the dance. You know the one. This is a game day ritual no matter where you are. Whether you're traveling to the game or watching from your favorite vacation spot, book a place to stay on Hotels.com and keep the tradition alive and well. Hotels.com, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the Players Lounge.
Today, Dallas Cowboys training camp presented by American Airlines is back at the Star in Frisco. Watch Cowboys practice this Friday, August 27th, and Saturday, August 28th, inside the Ford Center at the Star. All right, Barry Church, Newy Scruggs back with you. Our other running buddy, Danny McCray, is chilling in where'd you say? Out of country?
I think he's in
vacation, getting it on in?
International McCray, man. International McCray. Well, I'm living through him, man. Maybe one day, man. Maybe one day I'll be like him. Maybe.
Well, I mean, look, I kind of see it this way. You got to get it in while you can, because once the season starts, man, you're locked on in here. So,
locked in. That's
take
true.
that last bite. Go ahead, take that last bite, man, and go ahead and get it on in here. So,
this is true.
You have a movie review. So you went and saw Paw Patrol. You and Chris Beam, our producer, went and saw Paw Patrol. Give me a breakdown of this, because I'm gonna probably have to end up taking my goddaughter and my youngest to go see this.
I'm telling you, Paw Patrol is an extremely solid movie. I mean, for all ages. I got my kids watching it, and it was great. I mean, it shows you life lessons. Great graphics out there. And if you do watch the Paw Patrol regular television show like my son does all the time, they get really into it. So it's like, man, they're on the edge of their seats. Oh, what's going to happen with Chase? What's going to happen with Marshall? Oh, Ryder, he's the leader. Like, it's amazing for the kids. It's a great experience. And if you do have any little ones that, are into that Paw Patrol stuff, you got to go take them to see it. I mean, they'll be on the edge of their seats. They'll probably ask to rewatch it tons and tons of times. We went and watched it on Paramount Plus, the little streaming service. They had it on there. So we're at the house watching it. And of course, he rewatches it at least 3 or 4 times a day. So If you have the little ones, go see Paw Patrol. It's an amazing experience. It's a cool flick, man. Extremely solid flick.
Here's the thing that I try to tell people, and this is also the genius of the folks who write these movies, because they're very good, because you've got to write a movie for young kids, but at the same time, they have to write dialogue that you, Barry Church, and Chris Beam, our producer, that you guys can sit there and watch and be entertained as well. It's one of the great things about Shrek, how Shrek is written in a way that when they talk about, hey, he must have short man's disease, you get it, but your kids don't get it. Your kids don't get it. They just think, oh, Prince is just a little short guy. But that's the beauty of it. And then the other thing that comedian Roy White I was at a workshop he was at, and he's trying to get into writing cartoons. He says what makes Paw Patrol work is they're solving problems on a consistent basis. And during the television show, I think he said they had to solve a problem every 6 minutes. There's a different problem. So you're constantly, there's a whole sequence of how they write these things to keep the attention of kids, and why it's become addictive, because they know how to get these kids thinking, and they think like kids, but at the same time they have to write it and entertain it for adults as well. So I just think there's a genius in that.
Yeah, it's genius, and like you said, it talked about problem solving, and that's what we have to get my son to do right now. He's 5 years old, and it's always Mommy, Daddy, help me with this, help me with that, Mommy, Daddy. And then I always tell him, like, look at the Paw Patrol. What does Chase? What does Marshall do? Did they run over the Ryder at every single thing that happens? No, they go in and they solve that solution by themselves. So it's definitely some life lessons in there, as well as a little bit of adult humor. But like I said, it's an extremely solid flick, and it's a must for families to go check out.
Chase is on the case, no doubt about it. Speaking
Without
of
a doubt.
being on the case, we saw number 19, Amari Cooper, play against Jacksonville. He wasn't registered with the target. They gave him an end around. The turf monster got him. He got out there and he played. And one thing that I got from Cooper afterwards, he said, quote, "It was my 3rd time in pads since January. Not rust. I needed to get that feel of competing before it actually matters." So he just wanted to get himself out there. And I had some guys in the fantasy football draft. They were passing on Cooper. They weren't sold. A lot of people were thinking, hey, CeeDee Lamb is going to be the number 1 guy right now. Amari Cooper at training camp said he plans on having the best year of his football career. We'll see. But I know this, Dak Prescott likes Amari Cooper. So people can say whatever they want to. There's a comfort between Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper. I remember when they made the trade from with the Raiders to get him. They were a 3-5 football team. They end up making a playoffs because of him. I'm just a big fan of Amari Cooper as a receiver and as a positive guy in that Cowboy locker room.
Without a doubt. I mean, and let's not forget. I mean, look, CeeDee Lamb, he's getting a lot of hype right now, and deservedly so. I mean, I think he's poised to make that year 2 jump. He's been spectacular in camp. But let's not forget about Amari Cooper now. I mean, look, this is a guy, 5 out of the last 6 seasons, he's gone over 1,000 yards. All right? I mean, this is a guy who, great hands, one of the best route runners in the National Football League. And look, he's been out for a while with an injury, but he's fresh. If we saw him out there, during that blue and white scrimmage, as he's running routes, just kind of going along, he is fresh. It looks to me like he has that spring in his step. He hasn't gone through the rigors of training camp. So will he come out game 1? He might be a little rusty as far as the route running concerns, but this guy is going to be fresh, I think, and I think he's poised to have another big season. I mean, he hears all the talk about, this is now CeeDee Lamb's team. He's the new number 1, all this, that, and the third. But let's not forget about Cooper. I think he's going to be definitely at least poised to have another 1,000-yard season, if not one of his better seasons going into this year. Like you said, when they traded for him those couple of years ago, the franchise, it was over with. The season was done for, I think, and he came in and he turned that whole thing around, kind of helped put Dak on the map as an elite quarterback out there. And I think Dak will remember that connection that they have. And I think they have a solid one. And, CeeDee Lamb, he's going to be, a great receiver as well. But I think that connection between him and Cooper, when it comes down to must have, 3rd down and 10, I must get this. 4th down, I must get this. I still think his first option will be Amari Cooper.
Look, they've got 2 guys who can perform at a high level in Cooper and in CeeDee Lamb. And I'm a fan of both players. The receiver room is going to be tight. So this Jacksonville game coming up here is going to be very interesting because, in my opinion, I think there are 5 spots that are taken. You got Cooper, Lamb, Gallup. Then you got Noah Brown, Cedric Wilson. That's 5. And yes. I know KP watching out there in Utah is a big Simi Fehoko fan. Simi had 3 penalties. 2 of them came on special teams. He's battling with Malik Turner for that, in my opinion, that 6th and possible final wide receiver spot. Trying to figure out who makes this team. That's what this Jacksonville game is going to be about, man.
Without a doubt, it's going to be about who makes the team. And when you're talking about that last spot, that 6th wide receiver spot, you're right. I think you got 2 people battling for it, Malik Turner and Simi Fehoko. And it's going to come down to special teams. Right now, I would have given the leg up to Malik Turner, and I feel like he would have earned that leg up because he's a dog on special teams. And if you look at it, he was the starting personal protector on that punt team. Now, if you look at that and if you played the game, special teams coordinators, that personal protector spot on that punt, that's their most trusted guy. If you can hit that was Jeff Heath. That was Danny McCray. They were the most trusted special teamers, so they got to run that punt operation at personal protector. Now, unfortunately, Malik Turner suffered that injury and kind of opened the door a little bit for Simi Fehoko to slide in there. But he has to take advantage of it, and he has to make his bones on special teams. I mean, I understand you get a couple catches here and there on offense, but if he really wants that 6th wide receiver spot, if he really wants a spot on this team, period, without having to go to practice squad, he's going to have to make those bones on teams, and this is a huge game for him. This Jacksonville game is going to be a huge game, and if I'm him, if I'm in Fahoku's shoes, I'm focusing solely on teams, making sure I do whatever it takes. No mental errors, no mistakes on special teams. I've got to go 100% hair on fire on that special teams, because right now I still believe Malik Turner has a slight advantage because Bones Fossil, who we know has a lot of power and a lot of say-so in that coach's room, feels that Malik Turner is one of those core guys. So to me, Fehoko, he has his last chance here with this Jacksonville game. He has to go all out on special teams in order to secure that 6th wide receiver spot.
All right, KP, with another Cowboy question here. What about Bradley and I from Utah? Saw him make a nice tackle in the football game. Really didn't get to see a whole lot of him last year. What are you thinking so far? Here's another, player that against Jacksonville this weekend needs to come up, in my opinion, and just solidify their spot on the roster. But you can't have enough D linemen, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's two things on defense that you can't have enough of. One, they got to have enough pass rushers. You got to have enough guys that can get after the quarterback. And two, you got to have enough guys to cover the back there. So those are always two units that will get a lot of people in there. I'm talking about corner position. You got to go heavy on corner because you can never have enough guys that cover. And you got to go heavy on the D-line just because they rotate so much and you can never have enough pass rushers. Now, what Anai needs to do, in my opinion, he has to have one of, not only, ball out on teams, but he has to have one of those Dorrance Armstrong, Arizona type games where he's coming off and he's popping off your screen. Okay. You see him flying, getting pass rush moves. And we saw a little bit of that from him in Arizona, but I needed to tick up a little bit more. If he's able to do that, I think he'll solidify his spot on this defensive line as a rotational player and as a core special teamer.
What about fullback Nick Ralston here? Simi, I should say, Shewu Alanalua, they put him on injured reserve he's gone for the year. So right now he's looking like a fullback, but do you think they'll keep him and then just put him on the practice squad? I mean, how do you see a guy like Nick Ralston when you're trying to get this 53-man roster cut down?
I just don't know if they'll keep a fullback. They might, depending on how bad the tight end from Michigan, I forget his last name, McEwen, I think it is.
Sean McEwen.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure how bad his high ankle sprain is. Yeah, he's going to make the team. And I'm not sure how bad his ankle sprain is, but I would picture them being able to kind of move him back into that kind of fullback role, that blocking tight end fullback role. I don't know if they'll have room to keep a guy that's strictly a fullback. I haven't seen too much of him, out in routes, catching the ball. I haven't seen a lot of him on special teams. So that's another guy that I'm just not sure his skill set matches what the Cowboys want to do and if he'll be able to make a 53-man roster. I'm not sure they'll keep him on practice squad or not, but I'm not so sure he'll be able to make this team.
All right, let me piggyback off that. You were talking about McEwen. So you're going to keep the three tight ends in Jarwin, Schultz, and McEwen. Here comes a question where I think just based on what you said, you cut a guy like Nick Ralston and try and get him back because I think you got to keep Sprinkle now. You got to keep your fourth tight end. He's also playing a bunch of specials. So yeah, you got to keep a guy like, to me, I'm thinking just in roster composition, I'm keeping a guy like Sprinkle and I'll cut a guy like Ralston because there's some teams that don't even use a fullback. I got a better shot at keeping, getting Ralston in my practice squad than if I cut Sprinkle and he goes someplace. And that's the thing about Bones. Bones will probably want to sprinkle. Bones will probably want to sprinkle on his team.
Yeah, when you can never have enough long tight end type bodies out there, especially on your punt team blocking for you or your kickoff return team. Special teams coordinators love those big body guys who can run a little bit, who aren't afraid to put their nose in there, and that's what I think Sprinkle can provide. Overall, though, Sprinkle, he's going to have to put some more bricks in his pocket because he was out there getting blown by when it came back when they're talking about blocking assignments. So I think he's going to have to get a little bit better as well in the special teams end. I don't think he's a lock by any stretch of the imagination to make the roster, but I think he has a better advantage than that fullback to get on this 53-man roster strictly because special teams coordinators, they love the long wickets, they love the long arms, They love what tight ends are able to do on teams, not afraid to stick their head in the game, bigger body guys. So I think he has a better opportunity to making a team than our fullback friend.
And I bring up Sprinkle because McEwen, that was one of those things that you guys kept talking about special teams. So I was watching him. McEwen's on all the special teams at training camp. Yeah. So he gets hurt. I mean, Sprinkle's got to get up in there. So not knowing how far he is away from, getting out there and, to playing at the level you want. That's why I say maybe a Sprinkle's out there because with Jarwin coming off the ACL, you don't want him on specials. And then you got Schultz.
Yeah, you don't.
Right, Schultz has been battling injury too. It came so you've got to at this point in time, injuries are going to force you to keep the fourth tight end. So then you probably lose the fullback right there as you're trying to get that number down. By the way, the Cowboys need to make 5 cuts. They got to get from 85 down to 80. Let's take one more break here. All right, we've got more. It's the whole sheet, man. I got the whole sheet full of stuff here that we rarely get to all of it here. There was one player who, in my opinion, when I was watching training camp in Oxnard, this player was not looking good, especially on the third teams. But you put this guy in games, and we're seeing some things happen. I'll tell you exactly who that player is next, right here on the Players Lounge, brought to you by Hotels.com on DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want. And we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
Back to the Players Lounge.
Hey, get breakdowns at each position, battles to watch, scouting reports for every player, and more with the official 2021 Dallas Cowboys Star Magazine Training Camp Preview. Get your digital copy today for only $4.95 at DallasCowboys.com/star. You're in the Players Lounge, brought to you by Hotels.com. I'm Newey Scruggs, longtime Cowboys reporter, joined by former Dallas Cowboys safety Barry Church. Danny McCray is on assignment on the beach, hanging out, doing this thing. So, hey, man, I ain't mad at you, man. Go ahead and get it in while you can. But, I think my man Danny's got, when we talk about just attendance, if it was high school, we got to repeat. Danny would be repeating the grave for the high school attendance.
Oh, I'm telling you. Yeah, he was on me about missing them days. Now all of a sudden, my boy out here doing who knows. So, hey, you going to hear about it from me.
He retired the trophy. He didn't retire the trophy, man. He didn't retire the trophy. So, by the way, speaking of trophies, I had to give up my fantasy football trophy. I finally gave up. Had my draft, Church, had my draft, and I was sitting there, and the choice was really between CeeDee Lamb and Jordan and Justin Jefferson of the Vikings, man. It was right there. I was looking at both guys. Like,
I hope you chose CD.
I went with Jefferson.
Oh, no.
I did.
You trusted in Kirk Cousins to get him the ball, huh? Oh.
Hey, look. Now, this is what I have to tell people all the time. And I will defend Kirk Cousins from this standpoint. I won a fantasy football championship with Kirk Cousins. And because it's fantasy football. You just need this guy to throw a lot. Don't look for winning football. It's fantasy football. One of the absolute worst fantasy plays ever would be Troy Aikman back in the day. I mean, the most Troy ever threw for it was 23 touchdowns in a season. Troy was not a fantasy guy. But this dude was absolutely fantastic when it came to winning football games. Nobody won more games in the 90s than Troy Aikman. But when you just about fantasy football, you need numbers, you need stats. Kirk Cousins can give you that. I mean, he's a great garbage time guy. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is another one of these guys where you look at me like, I don't want to take this guy on my fantasy team. But you look up here, this guy is going to put up numbers for you. So
he will.
So from that standpoint, I mean, look at the year Jefferson had last year. And Thielen was hurt a bunch of it. But this guy got targeted a whole lot. The issue with CD, and one reason why I didn't go with him versus Jefferson is if Cooper's healthy, he's got that trust of Dak Prescott. And how many mouths do you feed around there with the Cowboys versus we know Minnesota's got 3 options. Give it to Dalvin Cook, give it to Jefferson, give it to Thielen. That's it. And Thielen's been hurt a lot the last couple of years. So I feel pretty good about Jefferson. So that was why I did it. Was I kind of have more of a known factor versus an unknown factor and a potential. So and then I thought I could snake around and maybe get CeeDee Lamb, but somebody already got him. I thought, I tried to get the bite of the apple, but that's where I went with that.
I can see why, because that Vikings defense is getting really old right now. It's getting old, and I don't know how good they're going to stand up. So I can see Kirk Cousins having a lot of garbage time, yards and points, and he might be targeting Jefferson on that one. But the only con to that is Jefferson's their main guy, so he's going to get a lot of attention from the defense, and he might get a lot of double coverage. And so if Dalvin Cook ain't spinning, it's going to be tough for Jefferson to get open on the double coverages. But like you said, it's going to be a lot of garbage time for Kirk Cousins out there. So he might be able to provide dividends for you.
I think Mike Zimmer, former Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator, now head coach of Minnesota, I think Zimmer's defense will get fixed this year. Oh, by the way, Everson Griffin is going back to the Vikings. How about that?
I saw that.
So he's back home, which you know what, man? And Barry, you played this game. Sometimes you got to comfort at a place, and you know what they do, and they know you. And obviously, money gets dictated, and money can get in the way of things. And clearly, that's what happened with Griffin. He thought he was worth this; they didn't think he was worth that. But at the end of the day, guess what? There's a fit, and so he went on back. Like McCray, he left, came on back. Sometimes you just know there's a fit and a comfort, and the people that know how to use you.
Without a doubt. And I tell all the young free agents and guys out there, it's not always greener on the other side. The team might, be offering you more money than the team you're with now and all that situation. But if that team doesn't really know how to use you and they don't get the most out of you, you might be getting a paycheck. But is it worth being miserable at that new organization, the whole season long and then becoming a shell of yourself as a player? I'm not so sure it's worth it. So all those young guys, make sure you do your homework before you go and just pick up that check and switch organizations like that, because it's not always greener on the other side.
One name I want to bring up here who had another good preseason game, but I thought it was an interesting training camp, and he didn't show up a whole lot at camp. That's Jabril Cox. Kid they took out of LSU in the fourth round, the linebacker. He was running a lot of third team. Didn't see him a whole lot, but in the games, last game he ended up tied for the team lead in tackles against Houston, and then the game before that he had 8 tackles against Arizona. So he's just in church. You know this. There's some guys who are just they're gamers, and this to me seems what Jabril Cox is. He's just a gamer, and maybe he was just getting used to the defense. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but clearly they put him on the football field. He knows how to go find the football and make plays, and for me, I know I looked at that, I was like, whew, okay, he'll be okay. He'll be all right.
Yeah, look, man, there's plenty of examples of guys who are pure gamers. I mean, I've seen guys like Double G, for example, who stinks it up in practice. Stinks it up. And it comes to the Steelers game, and he's out there throwing dimes. I mean, there's plenty of guys out there who just practice. They just, I don't know whether they have brain farts or they go in and out, whatever it is, practice just not their thing. But when those lights get on and they get bright, the player comes out of them, and that's Jabril Cox. I mean, we've seen it now for these first 2 preseason games, first 3 preseason games now, to where we were hearing reports out of camp. Well, he's not having the best camp. He looks sluggish out there. He's not really picking up the defense. And then those lights come on, and it just clicks. It's see ball, get ball. And this guy, I'm not going to say he's popping off the tape like Parsons, but you can see that speed from Jabril Cox as well. I mean, he's chasing guys down. He's sideline to sideline. Right. His coverage is good. His coverage is good. So I think this is going to be an interesting prospect going forward to see how he can help this defense out overall, because he's just another piece that you can plug in and play. And he's another guy. See ball, get ball. He's explosive. I like what he's bringing so far to this Dallas Cowboys defense.
So, Church, late last night I was booking some hotels for the road trips I'm going on this year. So,
did you use Hotels.com?
Of course, I handle my business, baby.
There it is. All right, of course. There it is. They get you the best deals.
So, of these trips I'm going to, tell me which one I should be looking forward to in terms of the atmosphere of the city and the stadium the most. So I'm going obviously to Tampa to start the season. Then I'm going to go to the Charger game at SoFi Stadium. I've never been there in Inglewood. That's where the Super Bowl is going to be held this year. Last year's Super Bowl was held in Tampa. Then I will go to New England. I'm going to get that Vikings game in Minnesota, which is basically a mini Jerry World. I've been there before. And then I will go to Gillette Stadium for the Patriots game. Those 5 spots.
Well, the The two that I'm saying you got to do, and you gotta be there. And I think that's the two that you need to get most excited about is that SoFi Stadium out in LA. One, I mean, that stadium looks amazing. So you got to compare it to how Jerry World is, and you get to see all this new technology with that stadium and all that good stuff. Plus, you're in LA. I mean, you lived there for a while. LA I think, is one of the best cities in the country. Then you got to do that New England. You got to get excited about New England. I mean, it's a historical site. You know, it's kind of like Lambeau, where you got to go through these neighborhoods and then you just look, bam, oh, snap, there's a stadium right there. And there's just so much history, with that stadium. And plus, the food, come on now, Louis, the food there in New England, I mean, it's second to none. When you talk about the chowders, the oysters out there, I mean, the seafood is it's to die for out there. So for me, those are your two to get excited about. The other ones, all right, here and there. You got a couple good ones, but those two to me, I'm like, hey, book me up right now. I'll be there first thing in the morning. So those are the two I think you should get excited about.
You're very right. This will be my third trip to Gillette Stadium, and the food is great. There's a spot in Providence, Rhode Island called Iggy's, and I love a good chowder. They make a great chowder, and I love clam strips. Clam strips are one of my all-time favorites. I never had these clam cakes. Church, man, these clam cakes are unreal. So it's like a hush puppy, like a little ball of dough, and they put the clams in there, and they fry it. So you get the clam bait, so you get that clam, and then you dip it in the chowder. Man, it's unreal.
Can't beat it.
It's unreal. So that I love going to eat there on that trip. And I'll tell you, man, L.A. is a great food town. And obviously, the Roscoe's by LAX, they know me. Because I'm there all the time. Man. I get off the plane, we hit up Roscoe's when we get off the plane. They hit that Randy's Donuts. You ever see that big old sign that they had?
Yeah.
Okay, so I go to Randy's Donuts and I hit up Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Man. Those are my spots. And in fact, I remember after that Rams Cowboy game playoff game a couple years ago, we end up at the LAX Roscoe's, and we see Antoine Woods folks. They're over there eating too. So yeah, man, Roscoe's, boy, woo.
Roscoe's is definitely on point. And there's some places where you get the whole, there's so much hype behind it, and then you go eat there, and it's like, the hype wasn't really worth it. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, especially the one down there, what you're talking about, it's worth the hype, man. It's worth the hype. Their waffles are so good. You don't even need syrup. You don't even need syrup to put on them things. They're so good, so buttery. Man, you got me my mouth watering over here just thinking about it. You gonna bring something back for your boy or what? Or do something. You gotta have something for your boy out here.
It's funny. I was at Shaq's house, and Shaq's chef was telling us how they love, that was one of Shaq's things was Roscoe. So they made him go down to Roscoe's. Like, hey, we want you, Shaq. I want you to go to Roscoe's. And to make the waffles. They make a Roscoe. So he goes down there and he takes a bite. He throws it down. Man, it's just cinnamon and sugar in here, man. That's it. And so he knew how to make the Roscoe's waffles. But still, I don't make Roscoe's waffles at home, but it's pretty good. And it's a lot better than that spot near you in your town. I'm not going to name the place. They're a Roscoe's imitation, and it's not Roscoe's, okay? I went there and tried. One of my boys was trying to sell me on this spot. I'm like, yeah, man.
It's not.
Roscoe's.
It ain't even
they try
close
to serve
to
the same
Roscoe's.
plates, everything, man. It closed. By the way, it closed. It closed by you.
It did.
That one spot.
I didn't know it closed.
But it's down the road. It's down the road by that Eatsy's. So it's over there in that little down the road from you. So it's over there. But yeah, it relocated. But yeah, it didn't make it, man. It was just it wasn't it.
That's another one of them spots to where the hype didn't match the food. And when I got there, I was just like, what in the I was highly disappointed.
And they charging, man. They're charging high prices too, man. You can't charge me no high price and you imitating.
That whole city charges high prices, man. I'll tell you what, man.
I couldn't believe what they charged for the Kool-Aid. They charge big money for the Kool-Aid. Like, really? It's Kool-Aid. How you going to upcharge me on Kool-Aid? It's Kool-Aid out here. Literally, that's on the menu. It's Kool-Aid on the menu.
That's how they do it out there in the city, man. I'm like, man, I'll tell you what. They wish they would have told me that before I came out there, but hey, I'm happy.
Hey, won't get me again.
They won't get me again. I'll tell you.
Tampa Bay is got a final preseason game. They're going to head out to Houston to take on the Texans. And Bruce Arians came out and said that he's going to play some starters. So I don't know if that means Brady's going to be one of those who plays, but he says they're going to play some starters here. So I'll be very interested to see how that goes with Tampa Bay. And look, you can play you can play him 5. You can play him a series. You can play him 2. I mean, you can play him. That doesn't mean how long they're going to play, but I'll be interested to see if he actually follows through with what he's saying.
No, I ain't gonna lie to you. If I was a vet on that roster and he's talking about playing starters, I'd be highly upset. Like, this is the last preseason game. We all know this is a tradition for where the younger guys, the guys that are on the edge or on the cusp of making the roster, this is their game. This is their game to go and prove that they need to be on this 53-man roster, or at least, update their resume for the other 31 teams out there. So they need to get all the playing time. To me, one series was one series too much. If I'm a vet starter on that roster, I mean, I would be sick, especially these weeks at camp. You think this last preseason week is usually where the veteran guys are out there playing scout team, messing around, playing games the whole time at practice. And then when you get into the meetings, you're in the back letting all the young guys focus on what they got to do. So I would be sick if I was in that situation. But he's a two-time Super Bowl winning coach. So he knows a lot more than me. But I'd be sick if I was one of them starters, though.
Well, it's just one. He just won one as a head coach. Arians just has one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. He was a coordinator on the other. You're right.
But if there's a guy, you say, I'll trust him. And none of the starters played in the last preseason game. That was the interesting thing for me, because I was going back. I was just looking, saw they got blasted and said, did Tom Brady? Nope, said Tom Brady didn't play. So he's got a plan. If you have a strategy and it works, fine. And we'll see. Mike McCarthy's got his strategy, which is, hey, we're not playing anybody against Jacksonville. We got guys where we needed to be. No preseason for Tank Lawrence, no preseason action for Dak Prescott, no preseason for Zeke. So Thursday night, September 9 out there at Tampa against the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers. We'll see exactly what it is they get, what they do.
Really quick, Nui, let me ask you a question, because it's just seeming to rack in my mind right now. It's just, okay, McCarthy was just supposed to be the offensive genius coming from Green Bay. That's why we brought him down here.
I don't know about genius. I don't know about genius.
We'll just say he's an offensive-minded head coach.
Right, there we go. That's a little bit more fair. Yeah. He had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, yes.
Yes, we'll just say he's offensive-minded. But why is he not calling plays still? I just think I don't understand that one. I mean, is it that much trust in Kellen Moore, or is it just, I don't get it. You tell me. I'm not understanding what the whole, why is he not calling plays? I thought that's the reason we brought him down here.
I thoroughly thought Kellen Moore was going to take that Boise State job. And if you notice, Mike McCarthy had nothing but great things. And he's ready to be a head coach. So I thought this was Mike McCarthy's excellent chance to just elbow Kellen Moore out the way and take over the play. What's that one GIF? The one GIF you see where the girl is right there, and then you see the brother come in there and elbow out the way. He started doing those dance like TikTok or whatever. That's Mike McCarthy, but trying to elbow Kellen Moore, right, just bump him right on out the way and pull out that play sheet. Because McCarthy had that big old stupid play sheet. I'm like, you got that play sheet, you want to call some plays. And he's spoken about it, talked about it. But when Jerry comes in and writes the check, hey, please don't go. And Jerry's done it before. He wrote the check to keep Sean Payton from becoming the head coach with the Raiders, wrote the check to keep Mike Zimmer from becoming the head coach at Nebraska. So here he is one more time writing a fat check. So Kellen Moore doesn't take the Boise State job. I thought Kellen would, to me, that's the job you take. Because if it's one thing we've seen, dudes who take that job, one, they're all successful. Nobody fails. They don't fire any of them. And they all get bigger jobs. All of them move on to another bigger job that pays a lot more money. So I thought Kellen Moore would take it. But somehow the Joneses paid him enough money and convinced him that he could become a head coach, being the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see.
All right, hey, I just had to throw it out there because I was racking my brain earlier, and I was like, why has he not yet begun to call calls? But you're right. Once Jerry writes that check, it's a done data.
You know what he wait? This is what McCarthy waiting on, man. He just waiting on a COVID game. So somehow it's like Dan Quinn had to leave the stadium over the weekend. He gonna wait for Kellen Moore. Oh, Kellen, see, give me that play sheet. He gonna take that big old play sheet and he gonna be calling plays like crazy, man.
Hey, speaking of Dan Quinn, I bet he don't miss no more games. You saw how Joe Witt had them boys flying around. Hey, them boys had Houston 0-10 on third down. He was calling some aggressive plays on third down, and they looked like they was flying around. I bet Dan Quinn don't miss no more games. I'll tell you that much.
Well, he was in the running, and this was the craziest deal. Witt was in the running for the job last year that Mike Nolan got, which was an absolute terrible move by Mike McCarthy. So, yeah, it's interesting, man, how these coaches make some of these decisions. So when you use the word genius, I don't think you should use genius with Mike McCarthy. Let's just say
offensive-minded. There we go.
He's an offensive-minded former Super Bowl winning coach. So he's won a Super Bowl, but I don't think we want to throw – when you say genius, I think Bill Walsh. I don't think of Mike McCarthy and Bill Walsh in the same sentence when I think of NFL head coaches. I don't see it like that. But all right, that's the Players Lounge. Want to thank Chris Beam, our outstanding producer, who takes care of all the Dallas Cowboys.com podcast. Chris is a hard worker, man. We really appreciate him setting it straight, making everything good there. Church, enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody check this out right here on DallasCowboys.com. We appreciate you. I'm Newey Scruggs, and we'll chat down the road. Bye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!